Countdown. We're live. Hello, I'm Willie Bragg, host of the Willie Bragg Show, where I like to talk a lot about politics. And today, let's talk about something that's been kind of on the news, but I guess because of the world scene right now between Russia and Ukraine, that is seemed to have taken just they're not talking about this issue at the moment about the Supreme Court with regard to a new nominee in the courts, and her name is Ketanji Brown-Jackson. She basically serves in the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, appointed by Barack Obama, succeeded Merrick Garland in that position, and to fill in this time when there's a new Supreme Court seat to be filled in. So, and that's, I'm happier that it's Joe Biden doing this than Donald Trump, because if there's one argument for not wanting a Republican president, would be how dangerous they can swing the courts. And Donald Trump in his 4 years did a lot of damage to the courts, and so that's where we're at right now with in that regard. I am hoping that she will be. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. I'm hoping that Ketanji Brown-Jackson will be basically the new Thurgood Marshall, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and Earl Warren all combined. But I will say this much, because I feel like I got to go and say this. When it comes to the Supreme Court, what I care about is judicial philosophy. Now, I hear many Republicans, a lot, too many of them, will say that Democrats want to create an activist court, and we just can't have an activist court unless it's our activists. Now that's pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, the real meaningful difference between Democrats and Republicans is who you would get on the court. Because when it comes to Republican-leaning justices, as a general rule, not always, but as a general rule, in this day and age, they're going to be appointing justices. This started really, really horribly under Reagan. They're going to try to appoint justices who are not particularly keen on free speech rights, who are not particularly keen on the right to privacy, who are not particularly keen on labor law in favor of unions, and they tend to side with corporations. They tend to do it. Now, once in a while, our modern right-leaning Supreme Court, and it's not because, well, it is a combination of the remaining liberals on the court and maybe some independent-minded conservative jurists in the court, that they will go and surprise you with things like same-sex marriage, for example, being considered a constitutional right, for which it was. So, I mean, that was one of the brighter side of the Supreme Court rulings over the years. Our Supreme Court in the United States have done some positive things, especially after World War II. And one of my favorite court justices, like Supreme Chief Justice, and I will, let me do this real quick, and because the graphics explains everything. Let's start with Earl Warren, Supreme Court, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. From basically, what year was he in the courts? Chief Justice from 1953 until 1969. This time period between 1953 and 1969 saw the greatest expansions in our courts when it came to civil liberties, right to privacy, freedom of expression, that sort of thing. And this is where you hear a lot of conservatives bitch and moan about what a dark time it was when Earl Warren was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Civil rights happened under Earl Warren. I mean, as I said, right to privacy, the definition of right to privacy were more pronounced. And in other words, this was the greatest expansion of individual rights, freedom, liberty, whatever you want to call it, during America's history. And it's so funny that the people who claim that they love liberty more than those damn Democrats hate the Earl Warren era of the Supreme Court. Earl Warren was a Republican, by the way, former Republican governor of California, and he was appointed by Dwight Eisenhower. And as I said, it was his court that saw the greatest expansion of civil liberties, greatest expansion of freedom of speech, greatest expansion of, when the whole quest toward racial equality, so forth, so on, happened under Earl Warren. I hope this is what we will be getting with our more likely Supreme Court justice. But you got to remember, there's a 50-50 Senate right now, and you got a couple of people, Democratic senators there, trying to posture themselves in a way that they're almost de facto Republicans. I'm talking, you've heard me complain about those, the West Virginia U.S. Senator and the Arizona U.S. Senator before. No need to go on beyond that. So let's go with the next justice here that I hope that will be like. This happened under. This was under the Warren Court too, and I'm referring to no other than the very first African American to serve on that court, and that was Thurgood Marshall. Again, another friend of civil liberties, another friend of free speech, racial equality, and he served from 1967 until 1991. To be replaced with Clarence Thomas, which was a slap to the face of everything that was good from someone like Thurgood Marshall. So Thurgood Marshall was one of the leading liberals, progressives, when Earl Warren retired, and it became the Burger Court, Warren Burger. And of course, Warren Burger pretty much was a slightly slower pace version of the Warren Court. In other words, Nixon mostly appointed people who were slightly more moderate than the ones that was appointed by Dwight Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, and Lyndon Johnson. And he did get one reactionary, William Rehnquist, who unfortunately became Chief Justice later on. But as I said, Thurgood Marshall also served from 1967 until 1991. And let's see here. Hold on tight. So, and I also hope to see, and this was really sad when 2 years ago when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died during the 2020 campaign, and Mitch McConnell, being the hypocrite he was when Anthony Scalia died, he wanted to delay a Supreme Court nominee until after the 2016 election. You don't want to make it look partisan, but the motherfucker went and quickly put Amy Coney Barrett in the courts, basically violating the rules he created for, or said that he supported for 2015, 2016, that time period. So, but Ruth Bader Ginsburg was appointed by Bill Clinton in let's see, what year? I forgot what year, actually. 1993. That's right, 1993 until 2020. And although she was appointed by Bill Clinton, in a lot of ways, her judicial philosophy pretty much was still in the tradition of, Earl Warren and Thurgood Marshall. In other words, she was also a friend for civil liberties, freedom of expression, First Amendment rights, right to privacy, and been a consistent voice on the courts. And she was sort of seen as the left-wing version of Anthony Scalia. Now, Anthony Scalia, I will argue, in some ways might have been one of the better of the conservative court justices, even though I personally would have appointed him in the courts myself. But on some key cases, he's kind of ruled on the side of civil liberties, but in some areas not so much. So he's kind of a mixed bag, but he is kind of well respected for being a legal scholar. Same thing with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They were sort of a complementary match of people with kind of an opposing judicial philosophy that they can actually, I guess you could say, take the case to the American people. So there's that. So anyway, I just wanted to go and talk about this, and hopefully that we will see, what will happen, how everything's going to transpire. But I'm hoping that between now and in the next 4 years, actually the next 6 years, hopefully we won't have a Republican president in 2025 throwing a monkey wrench in the courts. And so that's basically what I wanted to talk about. I'm glad this time there is a relative sigh of relief, because it could have been considered a worst case scenario if it would have been Donald Trump appointing someone for the courts. Because what Donald Trump did has pretty much put a dent, maybe for over a generation. And I'm hoping that remain optimistic that Ketanji Brown-Jackson could possibly reverse what would begin to look like a negative trend. So that's pretty much what I want to talk about, and I wish I could share more. As I said, I need to catch up more on Ketanji Brown-Jackson. But as I said, I hope that the courts, regardless of whoever gets appointed, no matter which president appoints whomever, that the key in the game is basically to want a court that leans on the side of individual rights, freedom of expression, civil liberties, basically, equality for all. And that's pretty much what I have to say. So if you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree, comment anyway. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we're, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And until next time, we got a class war to fight. So that's the kind of war you need to fight, is the class war. And we're all Julian Assange. Music.